Hello, my name is Gregory Zaya, and I am joined in the studio today by a true living legend, Maestro Ruggiero Ricci. He is recognized throughout the world as one of the greatest violinists of all time, and the man whom the critics have called the aristocrat of the bow and the most fabulous gift of the bow in our time will be sharing today his theories about bowing technique.
Well, basically two. There's a Russian school which keeps the index finger fixed to the bow. This gives a lot of strength, but it gives a bad bow change here, because and then you have Franco-Belgian, which goes. The hand pivots on this finger.
The middle
First,
finger.
yeah, middle finger. So that this finger goes, the index finger goes like this. Otherwise, a Russian is held here. But when you held it with the Russian school, you had to have your elbow kept the elbow very high, whereas the other one, the elbow could be here. In any case, this is what's bad, to hold the bow here, because then you put the wrist. This puts the wrist down. You want the wrist over here. Basically, when we push the bow here, that's the same as doing this. If I do this, or if I do this, it's the same. See what I mean? The hand position is the same if I do that.
Could we talk a minute, you mentioned with the index finger holding it near the second joint, or the large joint, correct?
Yeah, just right above this joint. If you put it here, if you go on that side, then it puts the wrist down. You want the wrist, the whole arm, the bow is on the bottom, the arm is over. You have to think from over. So if you put the fiddle here, you get a better idea. This way, you think from above. Because we're too close. But we have no way of holding the violin. We can't. That would be the right place to hold it, because you hear better here. But we can't. There's nothing to hold it with, so we put it on our neck. But basically, it should be. You have to think from over this way. So So there's air. You have to have air in the sound, not squashed. Even if you go, if I like this, I have to release. Yes, I know. So if you play martellato, you know, it's a release. It's not. You don't maintain the pressure. This is a straight line. That's all. So when the arm goes, that's a straight line. When the arm goes up, the whole arm goes. You don't go this way. This circle, the whole arm goes in a circle this way. Because you go in the direction of, you don't go in the opposite. We should go in the direction of this way, not. You can, but it's much harder, you see. So the arm has to be, it's just, so the whole arm goes, see, the elbow has to go up, not, this is a common mistake to do this. You see, this shouldn't be, this remains level. This. It's this way, see. So when I'm there, then we have here, that's why the Franco-Belgian is better, because we have finger motion here. When you keep this, when you keep the index finger down, you have no flexibility in the fingers anymore. This is stiff, so it makes a bad bow change. It's only good up to here. It's not good. It's no good from here to here. It's only good from the middle to the point. It's no because down. This is the difficult part of the bow, from here to here. Not that all the kids play from here to here, but this is where the change. Every time the bow, I don't care if he's playing cello, double bass, or whatever it is. When the bow changes, this index finger should move. You see, this way. It's not that way. This is stiff. You're gonna have a bad bow change, because there's no flexibility in the fingers have to move every time. The bow changes direction, the fingers should move. Because you watch its finger, should move. I don't care if it's cello, double bass, or whatever it is. That in the fingers should move. So.
Now the index finger in the Franco-Belgian, could you comment on the differences between lying it against the stick and hooking it under, as you sometimes see?
Well, they should never do this. Sometimes they do that. They should never hook under. It's how when you put the bow on, you should do this and put the bow there, and that's all you do. You don't do anything with the fingers. You leave them however your fingers are, whatever position, natural position, you leave it natural. If you do that, that's the minute you move this, that's stiff. This has to be loose, so it's this way. See, loose. If you do this, it's stiff. So you need flexibility here. So you need that. That's all.
And when you're bowling, the right shoulder, I notice you keep it in its natural position, not raised.
No.
Shoulder
no
down.
Tension. No. It's bad enough that we raise this shoulder. Some people. You need thumb. You need this finger. We need basically we can have 100 fingers, but we need 3. This, and we need one for, this is for pressure, and this is for lift off. In here, it doesn't matter if I have 20 fingers or just 3. I only need 3. One for this, for lift off, and the other one for pressure here. This doesn't matter. This could be this way. You could play this way or this way. It doesn't matter. Only those 3 points count. Whatever's in the middle doesn't mean anything. So you have those, basically, that's all there is. And the bow belongs here. If you put it here, it's weak. It puts the wrist down. It's weak. You have to be above. So if you do this, or if you do that, it's the same. This or this is the same. You see, if I move my hand or if I move the bow, it doesn't matter. This is the same. Yes. Yeah. But the main thing is that the fingers have to be. The hand has to hang. Fingers have to be loose. That's as long as the bow is lying on the strings. Now the fingers are loose. The minute I take the bow off the strings, I can't have loose fingers. If I have loose fingers, I'll drop the bow. Because I'm holding the bow. Now my fingers are not loose there. Because I have to have, so if I have a hold of the bow like this, I can't relax. If I relax the hold, I drop the bow. So it's completely different. When the bow is in the air, it's when the bow is on the strings. It's crazy. It's the opposite. You see, here the hand is loose when it's on the string, and when it's off the string, the hand is to be. The index finger for pressure, and then we need the outside finger, whether it's this one, whether it's this or this, it doesn't matter. We need that for lift off. This goes up, this down, that's all. Doesn't matter here, how many fingers are in here. Basically, we only need, you could play the fiddle with 3 fingers on your right hand. You couldn't play it on the left hand, you need 4. But here, we could play with 3. Doesn't matter which 3. You don't need, whatever in the middle doesn't count. But my thing is that the wrist hangs, you put the bow in like that. You don't do anything, do that. It's natural. You don't do this. That's bad. You see people doing this because they think they're getting pressure. If you want to do that, do it this way. But if you do this, stiff. You need flexibility, so this has to be loose. So the minute you do this, it's not loose anymore. You lose the flexibility. The violin is like a woman. It doesn't like to be. You don't hit it. We have bow like tennis. We have bow strokes. We don't have. It doesn't. This. When you do this, it's only noise. You need. So this is a stroke. Like in tennis, you have strokes. You don't hit the ball. In tennis, you don't hit the ball this way. You hit this way, and the same fiddle. We have a stroke this way, but not if you. That's why if you take the bow off the fiddle, when you see people taking the bow up here, it's a bad sign. It looks good, but it's no good because when you come down this way, you're hitting the fiddle. Same on the piano. If they put their hand here and go like that, they hit the piano, where they don't have. You need control. So the closer the bow remains, the closer the bow sticks to the fiddle, the better. Here. It's easy. The whole principle of the technique of the fiddle is to stick this way, like it's part of you. The closer you stick to it, the better, because you remain. you have to remain in contact here. The minute I mean, I do that, I lose contact. If I do this, if I do that, I don't lose contact. If I do this, I lose contact. So everything is, it's based on tenacity, sticking in, and you play, we have to play in the fiddle. You have to get in the sound, not, see, that's too much. We need some air in the sound, but this is just, see, you need, gotta get under, you gotta get under the sound. So, and of course the best way to go is just by using your ear. Your ear is all important because your ear tells you. If you're not listening, it's hopeless. It's everything depends on your ear, the quality. To listen to the quality of sound that you're making, because it doesn't matter so much if you're playing. It matters if you're playing right or wrong. That, yes, it matters, but it's worse if you sound bad, because you can be playing right and sound bad. Nobody's going to listen. You can play wrong, and if you sound good, they're going to listen. It's like a voice. Somebody has a good voice, you listen to it. It doesn't matter how kind of a musician he is, but they're not going to listen to a bad sounding voice like mine. What's really difficult is when they go down here. They go in one direction now. When they go this way, they push the bow at another speed. You see. The way to stop that is to just put one finger on there. Now I have to be very careful when I do this. I gotta be careful on the change or the bow is gonna go out of, because when I hold the bow this way, I'm keeping the bow from going by having 3 points of contact. If I have only one point of contact, the bow is liable to go like that. But if I practice with one finger, then I have to be very careful. I have to be very careful on the change, otherwise the bow's going to go out of control. So it's a good idea if you practice. If you practice sometimes with one finger, so the finger should. Right up to here. If I move my finger, if I have my finger stiff, it's no good. This is no good. Up here, it's only good. It's only good in the upper half of the bow. It's no good. No good in the lower half. It's fixed. The Russian hold, which is fixed here, is not very good. It's not good at the frog. Here. It's only good. It's strong up here. Yes. You have a lot of strength. But if you keep that fixed, it's only good up to here, then you're stuck. You see? You have to go like. That's why in the Russian hold they have to hold the elbow very, very high. Here. You can't see, otherwise you get this. Now this is the worst habit kids have, is when they're going up, they go like this. Just the whole arm. You gotta go, the whole arm goes. You don't go like that, not this way. You don't, this motion is no good, you can see. If I do this, the bow is here and the bow is here. So, this has to remain, this remains level. But the whole arm goes. You don't. If you keep the elbow, if you leave your elbow there, you get this. This is no good. See, that's the common. So the whole arm goes in one unit. So that's why we have bow strokes. We don't have we don't, that's a stroke. We don't hit the fiddle. We come from above, so that's why sometimes it's a good idea to put the fiddle here, and then so you have to think from above, from over. And the trick, the problem is not this. To overcome that, you need speed. If you go too slow, this middle string, when it goes, you can overcome that with, you get over it with speed.
When you talk about the one finger bowing to develop a smooth bow change and to avoid pushing too hard on the up bow, do you recommend beginning right away with the one finger and the thumb, or do you advocate taking fingers one at a time?
See, you can start this way, and then you gradually you strip them of their means. You take off one finger at a time. Then you take off this. Then they got only 3 points. Now this is, you need only 3 points, so that's not bad. The minute you take this off, now it becomes difficult when you go, because you lose your control. You lose your direction control here. So now you have to be very, now you have to be terribly, you have to be very careful on the bow change here. But if you're not careful, the bow's going to go that way, so too much speed. So that's why it's good when you want to learn bow change, make them play with one finger, because if they push too hard, when they go this way, it's gonna go out of control. So they got to be careful. They have to be careful. You have to be careful on the change. In fact, the whole basis of fiddle playing is based on being careful, both hands, because any difference in pressure here or in fractions of an inch here on the fiddle, every little tiny motion is critical. It's not like the piano where you have a key in every octave. And then another thing terrible about the fiddle is every octave is, what you do in one octave you can't do in the other one. It changes completely. And what you can finger down here, you can't finger up here. The higher you go, the more limited your means. You can, here, when you get up here, you can only go one finger. You can't finger anymore. The higher you go, the less you can finger. Yeah, the bow, if the bow went straight, you need to go like this. You never tell. The bow goes a little bit out from us, and then going up, the bow, our hand is closer. Of course, it's only a little bit, so, and down, it's this way, basically, slightly, this direction, slightly. So down is this way, up is this way. But it's only a fraction. According to where you're, the bow will go naturally in the right place. If I go, see my bow's here. Now if I go, bow's in the wrong place. I put my hand here. As the hand goes up, the bow goes, it goes
closer to the bridge.
Yeah. So there isn't a fixed, you don't say play closer to the bridge. The bow will naturally go If you leave the bow alone, it'll go to the right place. Here. Here. See, now it's here. If I go here, now what? Here, the bow's here. Now what? He's here. Now, here. The bow goes that way. And will automatically go. You don't have to do anything. It'll automatically go to the right. A double bass has a very short bow. Violin, our bow, actually, the bow we use isn't really long enough. It's because our lamp arm is limited. Because according to the bass notes, here you don't need, on the double bass you don't need much bow, short bow. On the high notes, you need, you can't hold, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah? Now, 1, 2, 3, finished. So the higher you go,
And by moving
it's contrary. The higher you go, the less vibrato you use, and the more bow you use. So bow speed. I asked my son-in-law, he's a physicist. I said, when I play here, this is 440. This is 220. This is 880. This is 1620, whatever it is. Here. Does the bow speed double? See, I couldn't prove it. Because I guess it depends on the pressure. But if I tried it, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, that's it.
Now, if you don't increase the bow speed, is there a problem with more noise on the E string, for example?
Yeah, you get, you only notice it on low notes. The lower notes, the lower the note is, the less you're gonna hear bow noise. But bow noise comes from this. You only hear it on high vibrations. Here, you hear that. And when if you hear a fiddle player and you hear this, you hear that like a bird chirping. He's using too much pressure and not enough. If you hear that, the little chirp, then it's too much pressure and not enough bow. So all you need basically, I mean, you don't have to know all the rules. All you have to know is to have a good ear and to know what is a good sound. And if I do, I know that's not a good sound. Something is wrong. So if you have a critical, your ear so is number one, that's all. Everything depends on our ear, nothing else. You just go. So your ear, you just try to make it sound good. First thing. Wrong note, right note, whatever, but sound, first of all, the sound has to be good. Yeah. The way you could tell would be if you had a scale and you had a roller on the scale and the bow was on the roller and you had to keep the same pound pressure. Let's say you want 5 pounds pressure. Then as I go here, I have to keep pressing a little bit harder to maintain the 5 pounds. You see? So to maintain an even. Here I need release. You don't need pressure here, but you gradually you have to apply. You have to apply pressure as you're getting here. The further you get, the more pressure you have to do. That's why if you do this, you have strength here. I can have a lot of pressure here. See, I'm over. If I do this, I'm weak. That's weak. It's no. You got to be over. You want, if you want pressure, you do that. We can't hold a bow like that, but so we need more pound pressure. So we got to be over, not here. This is weak. See, it's got to be above. Main thing is that it should be one line, that's all. Just a single line now. Not, if you have to ask, where does the elbow go? Because if I do this, if I put my elbow down, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. See what I mean? I've got a lot of angles going there if I do this. It's like a bird with a broken wing, this here. See? This is just one line here. This is this puts the, you put the wrist. The wrist, main thing. Wrist should remain level. This should remain level. Not, that motion is no good. The whole arm goes. It doesn't matter if it goes. Now, best way to prove it is to go this opposite. Because you could never do this if you did that. You'd have to go. If you did it backwards, you've got to go with your whole arm. You see, you couldn't do it. This way. Basically, there's only 2 strokes. The legato stroke and the stop stroke. The stop stroke can be any, I can have any length. Stop stroke can be any different length as long, but it means it's stopped. It has a definite, that stop before, the stop is, this is a release. I'm playing already. That's a release. Because if I don't release, I get. It's like trumpet player. He goes, two, like this. He gets an attack, two, but he doesn't go. He doesn't maintain that. It's only, It's only a sharp attack, and it's a release. I'm releasing the pressure. If I don't release the pressure, I get a squashed sound.
You have an exercise you recommend for this stroke. Could you describe it?
Which stroke are you talking about?
The martellato. Down, up, up.
Oh. Well, you have a very good one in Kreutzer. Oh. Yeah, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. you know, you have always positive, negative. You can't have positive, positive. You got to have 1, 2. When you say 1, 2, then you're saying 1 louder than 2. You don't say 1, 2. You say 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you say 1, 2. And if I make a 1, 2 stroke on the fiddle, I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Down is da 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 da. It's 1, 2, 1, 2. It's all. It's this. But if I make 3, I can't do that anymore. I have to do. Now when I make 1, 2, I'm going down, up. If I make 3, I can't do that anymore. I've got to go. If I go, it's down, up. But if I make 3, I can't go down, up anymore. I've got to go. This has to remain. No more wrist motion. The whole arm. The arm is being. I'm doing that. You can do a spiccato like this. I'm doing that. It'll bounce. Just like an airplane, when it gets to a certain speed, it'll take off. And when I get to, if I do the bow's not going to take off, but if I go fast enough, it's going to take off, bounce. Yeah, that's why they call saltato. Salto means, in Italian, means jumping. So spiccato and saltato is the same. It's jumping. Although when we say thrown, saltato, we say thrown bow. 1, 2, 5. Most people, they play it. Paganini has it written correctly. We play, but it's not what he wrote. It's not really right, because it should be. 5, 5, 5. Not 4, 1. We play 4, 1. 1, 3, 4, 5. See, but we do this. We do 4 and 1, but it should be 5 together. See, so if you have in the last movement of the Paganini concerto, we play, which is wrong. It's not what he wrote. He wrote. So you have also in the Ninth Caprice. You have this way. Not. We do this, but it's wrong. We do this 4, 1, 4, 4, 1 instead of. Yeah, well, if I want a long bounce, I would longer. The more I press, if I press hard, I get a lot of speed, but it stops. Because when I'm pressing low, I'm stopping it. I get a lot of speed, but it stops. If I want to keep it going, you gotta pull the bow out.
Pull the bow and less pressure from the finger, right? In order to get more notes on the saltato, you release the pressure of the index finger
Yeah.
and you pull the bow.
The more pressure I get, then I get more speed, but then there's a lot of pressure, very fast. Less pressure. To control the speed. But this is your speed control, this guy. If I take that off, I have no speed control anymore. That's your speed control. This guy is your. You get all the speed from pressing. This is your accelerator, and this is your brake.
The
Here.
outside finger is your brake, the index finger is the
Yeah.
accelerator.
This controls the speed. The speed. The more I press this, the higher speed I'm going to get. Just on one finger. But if you want to learn how to bow, the best way is just to start doing, not one, just 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then 1, 2. Then the go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's harder. Four. 2, 3, 4.
And the difficulty...
But if you do, if I do, that's a bow stroke. See, it's not, I'm not hitting it. I'm stroking it. This way. This is a stroke. This is a hit. It's no good. This doesn't make any sound. This sound is only made this way.
I think you've compared the spiccato stroke to skimming a rock across the water. Is that a good analogy for spiccato?
Yeah, because it's like that's right, like a. Yes, that's it. See, this way. Get. If I want to teach somebody staccato, I do this. I tell them play the same thing. Back up. In the same place. Stay there. Yeah. Now, if I do this, I'm in the same place. Now, if I throw it into gear, see, I go. But to do that, I'm controlling it. I couldn't do that with one finger. Yeah. With one finger, you have no speed control. You need 3 points, to have control. This is speed control here. This is pressure. This is the brake. This is the gas pedal, and that's the brake. It's all simple. Simple.
You talked about controlling the bounce with the pressure you apply from the index finger. Could you comment also on where you hold the bow? For example, you've noticed that those caricatures of Paganini all seem to show him holding the bow quite high, farther away from the front.
Yeah,
What effect does that have on the bounce?
Well, most people, almost everybody, we hold it one place. You could hold it If you wanted, you could hold it up here. You'd have a shorter bow, only up to here. It would shorten your bow. You see, if I call up here, then I can only go to here. If I put my hand here, I can all the way to here. That's why we keep it here. You can't keep it here, and if your hand is here, and you play a chord, then you play the chord, it's here, where the hair is softer. And if you put my hand here, we play the chord here, where it's harder. So this is much harder to make. So we have to play the chord here, over here, not here, because the strings are too stiff here. See, everything goes, whatever, I mean, everything is just laws of physics. You know, a string goes along according to the law of physics. And that's why, if you have this, I'm in the middle of the string. If I go, I'm a quarter, a half, a quarter. See, it's the same. It's divided in the harmonic. The harmonic's right in the middle. That's the next harmonic. If I go, it's the same thing. It's a quarter of the way. It's a quarter away from here, or it's a quarter away from there.
You mentioned briefly with the staccato staying in the same place, and I know you've compared that in the past to a car coming to a stop, and in order to come to a complete stop, the car rolls back a little bit, and that's how you return to the same spot in the bow.
Yeah, you gotta. When people play, when they want to come to a stop, they try to keep going forward, but they've got to come. When the car goes to a stop, it goes this way and it backs up a little bit. It goes that way, and whenever it stops, it goes. The last so. I can do it very fast. I can do it one, boom, boom. The more I press, the faster it's going to go. But the quicker it's going to stop. If I want to keep going, then I've got to move it. And this way, I'm pressing, I get high speed. But it doesn't last long. You can get 5. Much harder to go this way. You can go 5. 5 is easy. Either way. But when you go more, down is easy. You can go quite long. You can't do it. Going up, it's completely different. It doesn't work. All that stuff you learn, you could lecture the kid forever, it wouldn't do any good. You learn from experimenting, you know. Look, it's like if I tell somebody how to ride a horse, I can tell him how to ride a horse, and I can talk forever, and he's not going to know how to do it. He's got to get on the horse and do it, yeah? That's tension, that's like an epileptic fit, it's like this, you know. That's a very fast tremolo. And if I do this, I'm just throwing it into gear. Like if I go forward, it's stiff. A lot of people don't have that because they don't have that. Some people can't have epileptic tension.
Could you demonstrate, please, a down bow staccato and comment on the way the stick is rotated in a down bow staccato?
Well, it's superfluous because you really don't, very seldom used. Some people use it because they have a natural down bow speed, but most of the time you almost always see it. You see up bow, you don't see. It's much more. It is much more difficult. The angle is. And the angle is this way. Toward going up, the wrist is toward on the inside, and going down. Because it's just this way. See, when you turn your arm this way, it goes in that away from you, the direction, because it's only that the arm goes first. So the arm goes first this way, the arm goes first this way. So the wrist follows. So the wrist is turned this way. No, arm goes first, then the wrist is turned that way. So it's this way. So the wrist is always this has to be loose. Tension only in both hands. If I want really high speed, I've got to use tension. I got to just like that. That's tension. See, this is that's tension. If you can only get up to a certain speed. Past a certain speed, you got to turn on the tension. But you lose a little bit. You lose a little bit of control, and when you put tension, then the bow you can't. And you do. That's coming off the string. But if I go, the faster I go, the less it doesn't come off the string anymore. Because if it comes off the string, it takes more time. So this remains right on the string. The faster you go, the smaller the stroke gets. It's very small. There, see, it's very small. But that's bouncing. But bouncing has quite a limit. Limits your speed. If I play the perpetual motion, and I go this. But if I want to go really fast, I put the bow. I don't bounce it anymore because bouncing takes more time when the bow comes off the strings. It's much more motion because if I want high speed, I just stay in this very small space and I remain. If I take the bow off, it takes more time. Bouncing, it takes more time than that. There's no, so it's not really a spiccato anymore. If I do this, it's not spiccato. Spiccato, it's got to come off. So it's a limited. There's a limit to the speed in staccato. Yeah, well, when we play a chord, you have to not press hard, press as least possible. You try to play it piano, not have forte. Over here. If the strings are softer, I get up here. See, there's no flexibility. This middle string, if I play it here, the middle string is softer here. But if I go here, it's very stiff. So that's why, you see, if you put the bow here, it's much too stiff. And that's why if you have a round bridge, it's no good really. Shouldn't have a round. It's not a good idea. Because when you've got a round bridge, then this sticks out more. The curve is more. In order to press down, if it's round, in order to press down, you've got to press it down further. Whereas if they're nearly the same, you don't have to press them so much. This, if you do it like this, but if you do this, you've got to press this down much more. So then, to play three, if it's round and I want to play 3 strings, I got to press this down way down here, and it's very bad. It's very hard to play. So if the flatter your bridge is this, so you only have to press it down a little bit. And also when you have low strings, it's much easier for the left hand. You don't need much finger pressure. As a matter of fact, finger pressure, we don't. If I do this, I'm not pressing this string down to the board. Only a little bit. Barely. I'm just touching it. If I press it down, it's going to slow me up. The faster if I want to increase the speed, I have to stay very near. The more I raise the finger,
So having the flat bridge.
So it's efficiency. They're all technically based on efficiency. So when you make more motion, it's not efficient. You want everything you do has to be made with the least motion, not the most motion. See.
So having the flat bridge helps both the left hand and the right hand. The left hand.
Yeah. Of course, because if it's flat, you don't have to press that with the bow. You don't have to press it down very far. But if it's very round, you got to press it down much. You got to press it down much further. The rounder the bridge, the more difficult it is for the bow and for the left hand too. So actually, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be all the way down. It doesn't have to be all the way down to the board. Because if you do that, if you press it all the way down, you have to press hard. And if you press hard, you have no flexibility. You need some flexibility. And it's enough to be pressed part way. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be down. Doesn't have to be down to the fingerboard. And just enough pressure. See? Now it's not down to the board. This is, of course, if it's too light, you get, that's the harmonic.
Regardless of what kind of bridge you have, when you're playing a chord in general, would it help you to play a little above the frog where the hair isn't as stiff?
Yeah, well, yeah, you wouldn't play that far. You play here. If you held the bow here, some people hold it there. It's possible. And then the hair, you would be playing the chord here. You move your finger down here, and you're playing the chord here. So it's harder. But you get around it by going over that way. Oh yeah, you can look. Now if I go slowly, same thing. Just 3 strings. See? Now if I go slow, that's just middle string. The bow doesn't go fast enough. I need speed, not pressure. I need speed. If the bow goes too slowly, get that. It's squeezed. You know, it's like if I grab somebody by the throat, this way. This sound has to have air, not. Well, it's not so. Here's not so bad. Here's bad. I can play quite a bit of pressure here. If I did that here, I have to much more. The higher I go, the more bow I have to use. Well, the bow is, it's like a ball that's bouncing. You got to give it time to bounce. If you hit it too soon, you kill the bounce. See, if I've got to give it time. Got to be even. I got to change in the right time. If I go, I've got to give it time to bounce twice. This way, not. The bounce. In other words, when you're going this way. Shouldn't hear that I'm changing direction. It shouldn't sound. It's hard. To change, it's hard to change. Without this, when you change direction, if you change too soon, you disturb the bounce. It's got to keep bouncing the same. If I push my hand on the change, if I change too soon, I kill the bounce. See? But the way to learn bowing is to do first this way. 2 strings is better than 1. 2, then 1, 2. You do 2, 3, 4. So it goes even. So when you're going, the whole arm goes. Not. You don't keep the elbow. The whole arm has to go together. Not that way. This is a common mistake, doing this. See? And you try to go in the direction of the bridge, otherwise you're going backwards. So when you're going that way, if you're playing a scale going down, you play up bow. You don't play. You try to go in the direction of the bridge. Not. Yeah, well, he's got 3 and 1. The problem is, you got 3 going this way, and then you got 1 going that way. So on the 1, you got to get all the way back to where you were. Use 3. hard to explain. It definitely sounds, you can hear it. It's, I can hear 3 and 1. It's not like it's 2 and 2. It sounds different. Da 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 dum. Goes like that. See? You can hear 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear dum ba dum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then if I do that, I gotta kick it going that way. It's not gonna go by itself. That's easy. But then it's not gonna bounce going up. I've gotta kick it along. Yeah, yeah. Well, when you have to throw a bow, yeah, you can go much faster. You go much faster. Throwing. This is much faster than, because I'm reversing direction. It's hard to know because it's just, you get, I used to practice it, and because it's a freak motion, this. When I was a kid, I practiced it, and I get shooting pains down my. I practiced it too long because it's unnatural. This. So the minute I got needles or shooting pains, I had to stop. The same as if you do an extension like this. If you leave it too long, if you keep doing this, you'll pull a tendon. If you do this, as long as you're doing that, you don't hurt anything. But if you keep this like this, finally you'll pull a tendon because it's not made. After a while, one of the tendons is going to give out. They get tendonitis. They get. That's why some teachers scream at the pupils. Sometimes you find one teacher that has, some of his pupils have tendonitis, and that's because he screams at them and they get tight. It scares them. Some people, teachers used to scare them so much they were afraid before they came in the door. I had one crazy guy. He was a very good violin teacher, but he went over to the cabinet and he took out a gun and he said to the girl, he said, "I told you not to play out of tune." So I used to tell him, "Now look, see this?" I said, "Now when you play this next note, if it's out of tune, I'm going to shoot you." So, you go to the I said, "You got it." That's what I want you to do. Think. Think first. The thumb, you go with the fingers. When you go with the fingers, the thumb has no choice but to come along. See, you don't go, if possible, don't go with the thumb and the fingers at the same time. Do that. Do this. This. If you go like this, the thumb will come along. But if you go like this, if you move the whole thing, if you just move that, you just move this and leave that. And you do that, then this comes along. But if you do this, then you move the whole arm. So instead of moving the whole arm, just move the fingers. So you have much more, you have much more of this motion. Instead of, this is like a trombone, there, moving the whole. The old days, they were much smarter because they held the violin with their hand and they held it here. And then it became chin held. And so when it became chin held, they held it here, first position. So now when I hold it here, this fingerboard is 11 inches long. But if I hold it here, it's only 5.5 inches each way. I'm cutting it in half. So I'm much better off holding it here than here, you see. So that was a bad thing about that change. When they invented this, it changed from handheld to chin held. That was the two systems, and that last one, we do it, but it's not good. Chin held, because chin held is also very bad for your neck. You do this. Before that, you held it here. You didn't have to. You could leave your hand here. Hey, here. I'm holding it here. But then they shifted it. They held it here instead. When it was handheld, you had to keep one foot on the ground here. Your thumb was a fix. You keep a fix. And when being chin held, you had no more fix. You went like this. So you, instead of moving your finger, you move the whole arm. So I always tell the kids, go with the finger. Go with the finger, the arm comes along. But if you go with the whole arm, see, if I do this, it's easy. It's a small motion. But if I do this, it's a major. This is a major motion, moving the whole arm. If I do that, I'm only moving the finger. So you go with the finger. So I say, go with the finger, the arm will come along. There's no, it's attached, doesn't have any choice about it. So that's easy rule to remember. Go with the finger.
The rule of
Well, every bow is different. Some, if you screw the bow up like that, you're doing a lot of damage. You're weakening the stick.
when it's too tight.
Yeah. In time, your stick is going to get very weak. As a matter of fact, the people don't realize it. The bow, when they make it, is it's just a straight stick. It's not cut this way. They take the straight stick and they put it over a flame, and you do this, hot. You can. If I have a stick that's old and weak, I can strengthen it again by if they put it over and they recalibrate this. They can make it again. They do it over again. They make more arch in here by putting it over a flame, and then bending it over the flame. But you can give it to the bow maker, but it's very dangerous when he does it. If he bends it too much, he'd break. There's only one. This from Brazil is Pernambuco. That's one the one wood they use. The old one, I don't know if I have it here. Now here, I think you can tell the best wood that's darker. The darker the better. You get old ones dark, then it's more dense. It's heavier, so because it's heavier, I don't have to make it so thick and make it thinner. So it has more flexibility. If it's otherwise it gets, have to make it, then it gets thick, it gets clubby. That's why the old French bows were, the best violins were Italian, but the best bows were French. They made all the best bows were French bows. They were more elegant, the sticks. And you get a new bow, most of them are clubs, clubby, not they lack when they're too thick, they lack the flexibility. You want flexible strength. You don't want too thick. It's no good. And if it's thin, it's hard to get enough. It has to be strong enough wood to be thin. The stronger the wood, the thinner you can make it, and then you get more flexibility. And that's what.
You know, with, well, 2 points. One, you mentioned how damaging it is to the stick to screw it too tight. But in the past, you've told me how Fritz Kreisler used to screw his bow very tight.
Yeah, but then he got a new bow every couple of years. He used to go to Hill. He used to screw the bow quite tight, like maybe like that.
What
Probably.
effect does that have on the sound?
You get more attack. Because the hair is tighter. The hair is loose like that. You wouldn't get any attack at all. See, if that's too loose, you couldn't. I'm hitting the wood. The wood's hitting the thing. Well, it depends on the stick. I mean, it's gotta be. It should go down, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't go. It has to be tight enough to go here, but not touching the string. Not touched. This shouldn't be touching. If it touches, then the bow is. If it's too loose. Now, it's too loose. If it's too tight, you can do it too tight, but you ruin the stick. It's not good. The more you screw it up, it weakens the stick, the tighter it is. And it makes there's a difference in the, if it's too tight, the bounce is too hard, because you want to bounce. The bounce is like this. It's lengthwise. It's not, because that, if it bounces off this way, you don't get any sound. This hitting, it's a stroke. That's what we say, bow strokes. This is stroke, and this is. That's why we play with the bow this way. We don't play it flat. Flat is it's too stiff. bow's too stiff. We play with it. We play on the side here. So all the hairs that break are always on that side. Well, most kids don't rosin. They don't rosin the bow enough. Of course, you could put too much rosin too, but you have to, in order to know if you have enough rosin, you play a very high note. If the sound doesn't continue, if they don't have enough rosin there, the sound's going to stop. Because that's friction which is making it. Friction. If it's too loose, it's not going to have any. They turn. The hair has follicles. You know, it has follicles on it, so they got to turn it both ways. Otherwise, you'd have it would only play one direction. You can't see them, but there are tiny follicles all the way up, and that's why they get Siberian horses. I mean, the horses from the east have thicker hair. You get a rehair. If you get a rehair and it breaks all the time, they didn't give you good hair. They pay quite a bit. The body maker gets a whole bunch of hair like that, but he's got to pay. To get good hair, he's got to pay the price of rehair. I don't know, it's about $100. Well, depends where. You know, you get good.
How do you like your bows rehaired? How loose is the hair before it's been tightened? How can you identify?
No, the guy who rehairs it has to know. You have to know the dry weather. When it's dry, the hair shrinks. So if it's too dry, I won't be able to loosen the bow. This is okay. See, that's okay. But if when I loosen it, if it's like this, if it's like that, the hair's too short. So it depends. The guy who rehairs it has to know what the weather is. If it's dry weather, he's got to make it a little bit longer. If it's damp, he's got to make it shorter. Depends on the weather, because it changes. It changes. The weather has a lot of effect on the length. Used to have also on the strings. We used to play with gut strings, so they were much more affected. Now we play with wound.
Are there any last-minute bits of advice you want to pass along to your viewers about bowing technique?
That's a hard question.
If you had to put it in a nutshell, as a man who's been called the aristocrat of the bow, how do you sum it up?
Why they say the bow, they could say the violin too. I mean, well, you know, if you could get a mirror. If you get a mirror, most people, you know, you can see the bow where, see, or a mirror, you can see how the bow goes. A mirror would be good.
I just want to thank you, Maestro Ricci, for sharing so generously from your lifetime's wealth of experience. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.